I'm waiting for a group of students to come and cook with me right here at Casa Artusi. I'm in Forlimpopoli, where Casa Artusi is a cooking school. And Pellegrino Artusi, for whom the school is named, is an important figure here. In fact, you can see that they're celebrating 100 years now of Artusi. And who was Pellegrino Artusi? Well, he wrote a very important book, The Science in the Kitchen and the Art of Eating Well. It's a book that has sold thousands and thousands of copies and is still in print today. And in this book are recipes from all over Italy. Pellegrino Artusi was the first in Italy to really unify recipes that people could understand and get ingredients that they could cook with. And today we are going to be making some recipes based on Pellegrino Artusi's cookbook. Come on with us.
This is a treasure.
Okay, so we have them. See how easy this is? Isn't this beautiful? It's really a classic. Gorgeous. Looks like a painting. This is so dramatic. I keep telling you, I'm a one-pot girl. Beautiful. You're going to love it. I'm glad someone listens to me.
I do.
All right, go ahead. Isn't this gorgeous? Really different. I always say it has to sway like a grass skirt. You know why? What can I say? It's magnifico. Looks good already, doesn't it? It's so ethereal. I just love working with it. And guess what? That's hot. Phew! That's a workout.
Ciao!
The town of Forlimpopoli has a secret. It's the home of Casa Artusi, the center of gastronomic culture dedicated to Italian home cooking. Today, my students and I are going to enjoy Italian cooking, Romagna style. One of the classic recipes here in Romagna is cappelletti in brodo, but you want to make a special broth for that, and it's a capon broth. And we'll talk about that a little later. But right now, we should make the pasta for the cappelletti. And cappelletti means hat, little hats. And you'll see once we form the pasta why it's called that. But we have to make the pasta the right way. And here in Italy, you start by weighing your ingredients. So if you don't have a scale, you might want to invest in one. And I've shown here how this would be weighed on a scale. You want 240 grams of flour. And for this, we're using a flour that has enough gluten in it that's going to give you the structure to be able to roll the pasta. That's our fountain. And then we need eggs. So we're in Emilia-Romagna, and we're in Forlimpopoli. And when you're in Emilia-Romagna and you're talking about pasta, you're talking about pasta fresca, fresh pasta, which is made with unbleached flour and eggs, as opposed to dried pasta, which you buy in your grocery store, which is like spaghetti or rotini or rigatoni, something like that. That's pasta secca, which is made with semolina flour and water. That's the difference. This is fresh, flour and eggs. So we're going to put 2 eggs in our little hole here, and then we're going to put 1 yolk right there. Okay. So get a fork and start whisking these eggs to break them up. You want to break them up. First time you do this, you want to just take care. You know, go a little slower. As I say, if that wall breaks, you don't have to worry because all you have to do is throw a little flour in there. So now I don't know how much flour this is going to take. This is why I'm telling you. It's very difficult to give you a recipe. Depends on the size of the eggs, the kind of flour that you use. What do you do with that excess flour that you're not going to use, that has all these little pieces of egg in it? You're going to sift it, and then you can use it on your board when you roll out your pasta. So at that point, push all this aside. You see how much flour I used? In case you were wondering how many cups of flour that was, it was 2 1/4 cups. But we never used 2 1/4 cups of the 240 grams. So 240 grams translates to 2 1/4 cups. All right, so now we're at the point where this is starting to feel good, and we want to really knead this until it's not sticking to our hands, and it's not very dry. So you do this rhythm, same technique as if you were making bread, using the palm of your hand and turning this a quarter turn as you go. And it's getting there. So why don't we give you a turn? You try that now. Try to use that. Yeah, if it starts to stick, a little bit of flour, not too much. Turn it on its side, go a quarter turn. How's it feel?
It still feels a little sticky.
A little sticky. Now remember, you can do this in a food processor if you don't want to do it this way, but this is the classic way to make pasta, and I think that everyone should be able to try this just once. You know, at one time, every young bride-to-be in Italy had to pass muster, didn't they, Marie, with her future mother-in-law? And you had to demonstrate that you knew how to make pasta. That was a requirement. No longer is, but it was a requirement. All right, that's looking good. Try to use the palm of your hand instead of the fingers. Makes it a lot easier. All right, now this needs to rest for about 30 minutes. Relax the gluten in that pasta, and I usually do that by putting a little flour in an area on my board. You notice I used a wood board. You want that because it gives you good grab when you're making pasta. So you leave it there covered, and while that's resting, let's make the filling. This is one of my favorite cheeses here in Romagna. This is something called squaccarone. Can you say that? Squaccarone. Squaccarone comes from the word to melt, and I think you can understand why. Look at how soft this is. This is a cow's milk cheese made with raw cow's milk and rennet. And it's ready now for us to use as our filling for the cappelletti. Now, if you know anything about Pellegrino Artusi, he's got the classic recipe in his book for cappelletti in brodo. And he uses Parmesan cheese, and he also uses capon, cooked capon breast, shredded up. But there are many other ways to do it here in Romagna where you solely use the cheese. I love this just on piadina, which is another classic product here in Romagna. And then we want some grated Parmigiano Reggiano, considered the king of cheese, which comes from Emilia-Romagna. When you buy it, you should always buy it in a wedge because you can see on the rind those pin dots that tell you that this is the authentic cheese. And this is a cow's milk cheese that comes from two milkings, an evening milking and a morning milking. And we're going to add that to the squaccarone. So that was 4 ounces of each. And then we want just a little bit of nutmeg. And this is noce moscato, which is nutmeg. So we need about 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to put, that's about 1/4 of a teaspoon. You want to buy nutmeg here in Italy, look at how it comes. Isn't that cute? You have your whole nutmeg, and you even have the little grater with it. So in goes our egg, and we just mix this up. And this becomes our filling for our cappelletti. So there is our mixture. And now we can go ahead and roll out our pasta. And just give a light pressure to the dough. You want to try? Sure. Just give a light pressure. Watch that cord to the machine. Just to flatten it enough. And if it sticks, you add a little flour on the pin, or you could put it on the dough. Okay, and the reason you want to flatten it first before putting it in the machine is that you don't want to take the chance that you're going to strip the gears. All right, now we're ready to put this through the machine. Okay. All right, so your pasta machine will look a lot different than this one. Here we have a safety feature on this particular machine. And this is so that your fingers don't get stuck in the rollers. And we have a knob that has numbers on it that go from 2 to 8, or depending on the make of your machine, it could be different. But you want to go from the lowest number to the highest number, and that will thin the dough. And as we add the numbers, you see this is increasing in length. And if it is sticking, you just want to, I just wipe the dough on the board. Go ahead. Okay. Remember, you're going to the left on this machine. Left. Yeah, okay. All right. Keep going. Grab it with your other hand. Wonderful. Now, how many times are we going to do this? We're going to do this until we can see our hand underneath the dough. That is thin enough. We don't want that any thinner. All right, so now we're going to shut this off for a moment. So here we have a sheet of stretchy dough, stretchy. So if we're going to stick with Artusi, he would say, just flatten the dough a bit with the rolling pin after you have it either out of the machine or you've done it by hand. And we have just enough flour on there. I'm going to put just a little bit more over the top, just like that. And now you can either start one of two ways. You can trim all this off if you're really, precise about things, or you can just put your little form. Here's my template, and you can cut them out with a rotella. This is a rotella, which is used by Italians to make their shapes. So you want to make sure you have a sharp one so you can get those pieces out. So you can either do that, or you can use a round one. You can also use a glass to do this if you didn't want to use this. So now we have the two shapes. And then we come to the filling part. So we want to put, this is that cheese filling I told you about, we want just to put a dab. So you make a lot of these, and you take a little bit of this, and put a dab right there, see? It's like that. I am telling you, this is arduous work, but it's worth it. Don't put too much in there so that it's all going to squeal out. And you want to take then and form the cappelletto, which is to just make a half moon. Okay? And you pinch those edges. And if we had made too dry a dough, we wouldn't be able to do this. So there is our dough, our filling in the center. We've made the half moon. We bring that together, and we have made the little cappelletto, un cappelletto. If you want to do it in the square form, you would, again, pinch those edges. See why you don't want to have a lot of filling in there. Pinch those edges closed. Really make sure they're closed. Take the two ends, bring them together, and you have the pointed head. So you can do them either way. Now that you know how to make the cappelletti, why don't you go to your stations, because we've got a lot of recipes to make for you today. If you like rombo, turbo, you do, don't you, Cliff?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We are doing a classic dish here in Emilia-Romagna. Turbo, known as rombo, here is also going to be made today a very simple way. We're going to bake it in paper, al carpaccio. So the boys are getting all the ingredients ready for the fish, the tomatoes, the onions, the lemons, parsley. And we're going to come back and show you the technique of cooking the fish in paper to keep it nice and moist. You guys are doing a great job. Meanwhile, my eyes are watering like crazy. Okay, keep it up. Oh, and here's a little trick for seeding. If you just take the back of a spoon, no, Clifford, come here. Okay. And just go like that. Look at that. Those seeds come out so quickly. Just like that. Easy. Got it? See how they are on that plate over there? Okay. So you roll them into some little balls.
Okay. We don't need these onions. No.
Okay, try to keep them around you guys, okay? How are we doing on that? Piadina is one of the classic flatbreads of Romagna. You can't go anywhere and not see a sign for piadina. And we're going to make it here today. And what we need to do is start with flour, a little bit of olive oil or lard, which is more classic, water, and a little bit of baking soda. So you need to get that into a nice smooth ball. And then we're going to let it rest for 30 minutes, and then I'll show you what to do after that. Don't call it bologna. This is mortadella. Mortadella di Bologna, another classic product from here in Emilia-Romagna. And look at this. This is a pork product, very thinly sliced, and throughout it you see these little flecks of lard. And then you'll see little bits of maybe peppercorns. The Bolognese do not like their mortadella with pistachio nuts. So what we're going to do with this is a typical pork product that's cooked. It has different spices in it, and it is usually served as an antipasto. We're going to make a spuma, the mortadella, out of this. We're going to make spuma, means like whipped. So they're going to put this in a food processor with some wonderful mascarpone cheese, and we're going to use this as a spread for the piadina that we're going to make today. Okay? Do you love spinach like Popeye did? Well, we got it today because we're making a side dish, spinach all'uso a Romagna. So we're going to do a side dish of spinach like it's done here in Romagna. And we're going to sweat this spinach down. We're going to combine it with some olive oil, some raisins, onion, and it's going to be a nice side to that rumbo we're making.
And then we also need to zest, juice the lemons.
All right, Mary Queen of Scots is here again, folks. We always have her on cake duty. So we're making a zuppa inglese. And you know, we don't know exactly where that name comes from. I think I've done some research on this. It's called English cake. Maybe because some Italians were in England, they saw this cake, they loved it, they called it zuppa inglese. Who knows? But anyway, to make the cake, you've got to make a sponge-type cake, and then you make a filling. And we're making a pudding, right? Which has what? What's in the filling?
Chocolate and vanilla, and we'll do one layer of chocolate and one layer of vanilla
Okay.
in between our cake.
Okay, but you need eggs and milk, right?
Eggs and milk.
To make a pudding.
Yes.
All right, and then you're going to douse the cake with a little bit of something special, which is right there, Martha. The alkermes is a flavoring, a liqueur that's going to give this cake a nice color, red color, and a nice flavor. So go for it, ladies. I'll be back later to sample the pudding. Two people can be making the same thing, and the doughs will feel very different because cooking is a very individual thing. It's how you measure how heavy your hand is. So both of these are looking really good. Let me see what we have down here. Good, Marie. Okay. Let's see if it's dry. No, not really. You know, you just need to. I would put that on the board now and just get it into a nice mass, and then just dump it right out there here. And these we should start getting hot. That's it. Let's move this out of the way. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you're doing well. That's looking really nice. Fold and turn. That's it. You've got it. You've made bread before, right?
Bricks.
Measuring the flour too heavy-handedly.
Ah,
yeah.
Yes, your tip there with the spoon and sweep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have a scale, that's the best way to do it. But that's looking very, it's a nice soft dough. That's going to be perfect, but it needs to get all those little bumpy areas. It should be smooth. Smooth like a baby's bottom.
Okay.
That's what they say. Smooth like a baby's bottom. So if you find that your dough is too dry, and this one is just a bit dry, you want to just take a little water. See? Spritz. Not too much. And this will help to correct it. So now go. And as you do that, you'll know by feel if you have a smooth enough and a soft enough dough. Getting better. Okay. Work it, Marie. Work it. And we know it's done when it's thick like that, and we can take a spoon. Go ahead. And it just kind of hangs off that spoon like that. See how that's not going anywhere? That's perfect. A+, Mary. That's why she's the queen. Okay, now we're going to divide this in half, right? And what are you going to do?
We're going to leave half of it vanilla and half of it will be chocolate.
We're going to add chocolate to this. You could use semi-sweet chocolate, so that we're going to make this into different layers of pudding in our cake.
Yes.
In our torta di Spagna. This is turbot. It's because it has this real bumps on top of the fish. This is in the flatfish family, so in the flounder family. And we're going to fillet this wonderful, mild-tasting fish, typical of this area. and we're going to cook this in paper. Right, Michele?
Yes.
All right. 3 days worth of cleaning. He's ready to go.
Is this a half or about a third?
Design this is.
We cut each layer. Very good.
All right, excellent, excellent. You're doing
Two batches of it.
all right, you're great. Okay,
Do you
now.
want to
Oh, this is really,
process it
really
some
getting
more, or
hot
do
now.
you-
Let me get my.
do you want to make like an anguilla?
Okay, now to go from the center out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go from the center out. Okay. All right, you can put that one on now.
Okay.
All right. Give it a few pokes.
Is that okay?
Okay, let's see what the bottom looks like. Flip it over. All right, perfecto. Look at that. Oh, who needs diamonds when we got piadina? I mean, if we were doing this individually, we'd give everybody their own sheet of paper with their fish and the vegetables and close this up and bake it in the oven. But because, oh, no, we're cooking for 22, we're going to lay our fish out in a large pan and then cover it, and then we will be serving from here onto the plate. We'll plate it. Fish down.
Okay, fish down. Fish in the hole.
Fish goes on the oil, okay.
Yes.
This is so simple, and it's so healthy because we were using all fresh ingredients. Fish, of course, which is lean and no fat. We're using fresh onions, tomatoes, parsley, a little white wine. Delicious. Go ahead, cook it.
All right, tomatoes and the fish give off those nice juices, and it is really, really moist. Here's some salt. Here's some pepper. We have pizza.
Okay, then when you get that all, so you took half of the plain,
Right.
and you mixed in some chocolate. You can use semi-sweet chocolate for this to give us the chocolate color. Because when we fill the cake, we're going to have a layer of plain and a layer of chocolate. Okay, all right. So now they put the chocolate on. And just wait before you do the next one. We got it.
They were clean, but they've been contaminated with fish juice.
All right, next one. Put the next one on, and then the last one you flip the other side, okay?
This way?
Yeah.
This is the last one.
This is the last one, okay.
Now, what about y'all's?
Okay, excellent. All right, so now you refrigerate that. Hi guys, how many minutes is it?